Morning. So, I've been thinking a lot about religious hypocrisy and the Pharisees, as I always do. But I'm finding that this rabbit hole goes a lot deeper than I initially thought. And there's a reason for that. So, I would just say there is only one group of people that Jesus has a problem with, and who Jesus says, you have sinned too much, for the kingdom of heaven is shut up against you. Now, even the tax collectors, the harlots, the murderers, the drunkards, etc., are all invited, so long as they accept the free gift of salvation and then repent of their sins. But the Pharisees, who have been, for man, entrusted at the gate of the kingdom of heaven on earth, they have used it as a way to perform, to gratify themselves, to get cheap praise, validation from people they don't even respect nor care for. And so they've become the bottleneck for God's kingdom arriving on earth. And that's why Jesus is so livid with them. Absolutely, he's vile with them. And I don't understand why people say that Jesus was meek or passive or gentle, because when I read through the Gospels, the way he spoke was very aggressive sometimes. And there's a passage, I won't go into all of it, and I think I've mentioned this before, but halfway through Matthew 21, so Jesus cleanses the temple, and there's this arc all the way to the end of story arc, all the way to the end of Matthew 25, where you can see Jesus is just frustration and pure anger boiling over to the point where he cannot contain it anymore. Even the Son of God, God reincarnated. So he goes into the temple and overturned the tables of the money changers and the seats of those who sold doves. The seats. So they were sat on the seats and he even tipped them off. Then the tables. I'm sure he probably swore at them. He didn't do that politely. And then he went out. He went to sleep into Bethany. Woke up in the morning, was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he came to it, found nothing on it but leaves, and said to it, "Let no fruit grow on you ever again." There's like two different meanings there. It's the spiritual one, because he eats the bread of heaven, right? He's looking for a spiritual appetite, a spiritual hunger. It's just black, pitch black with the Pharisees. And then he starts to explain to the Pharisees and the disciples, but I think mainly the Pharisees, in parables. So the parable of the two sons, the parable of the wicked vine dressers, and the parable of the wedding feast. I tried to involve you in my kingdom, and you would not come, and therefore get out. So then the Pharisees, the scribes, and the Sadducees, each of them tried to trip him up with backward logic and hypocrisy, which he dismantles, and then he unloads on them in Matthew 23. In the first 12 verses, I think is basically a warning to his disciples and the multitude with him. He turns to the Pharisees and he says, "But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. Neither do you go in yourselves, nor do you allow those who are entering to go in." Continues. Matthew 24 is him talking about the end times and what that will look like. It's a warning, and it's coming. The Matthew 25, the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. There's a king who has the kingdom of heaven shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. Now 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. The wise ones have oil in their lamps, the foolish ones don't. And then at midnight the bridegroom returns. Only the wise ones are ready, and the foolish ones get caught off guard. Then the next two passages in Matthew 25 is the parable of the talents and the parable of the sheep and the goats. The parable of the talents is basically saying you were gifted these things, items, traits, attributes. What did you do with them? Did you double them? We are asked by God in the very first instance as Adam to multiply. And then the second and final passage after the wise and foolish virgins is the sheep and the goats, which is basically saying, and were you kind to other people? Did you feed the hungry? Did you give drink to the thirsty? Did you clothe or take in a naked stranger? Yeah, so read Matthew 21:12 right through to the end of chapter 25. You will see the scorn Jesus has for the religious hypocrites. It's not healthy. Not healthy what they're doing. It's healthy how he did it. Because it has to be done like that. He says, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. That is rock bottom. It's worse than genocidal maniacs. It's worse than murderers. Like, you name it, anything. Just, that's his ground zero. Scribes and Pharisees. And yeah, there's a lot of them in the church right now, which is why the world is in disarray, unfortunately.